Fasten your seatbelts, hold on tight. You're in for one crazy ride tonight on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show. Hashtag one on Facebook.
To Dana Saban, and when they were together, their son Evan was a Champ Kart asphalt racer down at East Side Speedway. So Daniel, if I tell this wrong, you can feel free to correct me. But it's my understanding that in those formative years for Evan, that he would go over to Daniel's pit and formed a friendship and a relationship with Daniel, and was scraping mud off his car and things like that. And the two of them actually developed a close bond and friendship over and followed each other's careers all the way up, right until, Evan didn't race anymore. And so when unfortunately Evan lost his life in an accident in 2020, and the car that his mom and dad owned was actually with Evan's mentor in quarter midgets with Tanner Kerr, and Tanner's brother Gunnar Kerr was actually the one racing the car. And so Anne Marie and Dana, Evan's parents, expressed the interest in building that car anyway, because that was supposed to be Evan's ride. That was going to be his learner car, because it was a 1996 square tube rocket chassis. And if he, sent it into the wall and bent it all up, it wasn't, you didn't lose that much because it was just a 25-year-old car. So when Evan had passed, and it was at Evan's funeral actually, where Daniel walked right up to us and said, I heard that you guys are looking to build that car. And so if ever you need a driver, you call me. And at first we thought we already had a driver lined up, and things ended up not working out with the first driver. Just didn't work out. And so we called Daniel Brown Jr., and he was jumping in the car as like the moment we called him. So that was at the beginning of the season last year. And we had to do some repairs on the car, so we missed the first two races. But then when Daniel jumped in it, he just, started figuring it out and working with Dana and making adjustments, and started moving up to the front pretty quickly. And in his first year in a 25-year-old dirt late model, and at a track he had never really raced at before, he got a best place finish of second, and ended up getting 5th place in points out of 25 cars that season with 25-year-old equipment. So ever since then, it's just been, hey man, like let's do this thing. And then last year, Anne Marie, being the diligent financier that she is, squirreled away a bunch of cash, and we were able to fortunately come across a very gently used 2015 blue gray, and we picked that up. So now Daniel has a 20-year newer car, and the new equipment, he said it's like night and day. When he jumped into that car and started getting it to articulate, getting it to travel around the corner, he's like, yep, I've never been so confident in a race car. And so he's staying up front right now at Winchester. We are 2nd place in points, 10 points out of 1st place. And so it's our goal this year, hopefully the Lord will bless us, that we're able to win a race and hopefully win the championship this year.
Okay, so Will, talking about your almost home motorsports, where did the philosophy and that name come from?
Okay, so it's no secret that that the owners of the team are Christians. Like every other Christian on the planet, we're not perfect. We make a lot of mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
We have tempers, like,
oh, yes,
we race hard, but one of Evan's favorite bands and songs was Mercy Me
Okay.
is the name of the Christian band.
Yep. I know who they
and
are.
they have a song called Almost Home, and there's a lyric that's in that song. And if I can, I don't know, I might give you a second, I might be able to look it up. There's a lyric in that song that just really spoke to us. It says, I think it's in the third stanza. It says, well, this road will be hard, but we win in the end. Simply because of Jesus in us. It's not if, but when. So take joy in the journey, even when it feels long, and find the strength in each step, knowing heaven is cheering you on. So that really spoke to us.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, we started this race team as an honor to honor Evan's memory, and as a ministry to the racetrack, because, you know, we firmly believe, like what Jesus says in Matthew 28, that you are to go unto all the nations, you know, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So the job is not to bring people into church. The job is to be the church and to go to them.
Oh yeah.
And so that's where the whole inspiration came from, the name of the team, and the philosophy that we try to carry out at the track. But like I said, we all make mistakes, and we're no different. You know, Daniel is a very intense and hard racer, and he will race you clean, as long as you race him clean. But you know, if you try to rough him up a little bit, he won't be pushed around. So but we're very proud to have him behind the driver's seat, piloting the Almost Home Motorsports Dirt Late model.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know if I should do this or not, but let's talk about Evan. Okay. What kind of kid was Evan?
Oh gosh. Evan was
a jokester. He was a jokester.
He was totally the class clown. Like, I've got videos of him riding around on his Razor scooter in his American Eagle pizza underwear. Like, it's like, wow. And like, you know, jumping around and just making jokes all the time. Loved to play his Xbox to a fault. You know, he and I bumped heads quite a bit because he would, you know, play his Xbox more than he would do his homework.
Oh boy.
But you know, we had to kind of to dangle the quarter midgets over, you know, as the carrot. Like, hey man, if you want to keep racing, you've got to get good grades. And so when we would do things like that, all of a sudden his C's and D's became A's and B's real quick.
Oh yeah.
He loved racing. Always wanted to, like Daniel said, he was a jokester, a prankster. I'm the stepdad, so he would rag on me quite a bit. Like, I would constantly catch it all the time. And of course, you know, being the stepdad, I'm like, no, you gotta, you know, do your homework and you gotta do your chores, and like, you know, stepdad. But no, he was a joy to be around. He always lightened the mood everywhere he went. Never met a stranger. Like, he would walk up to anybody at the racetrack and start conversations and start talking about his racing. And his quarter midget association, the Hagerstown Quarter Midget Association up in Maryland, everyone adored him. He got along with pretty much everybody. Even to this day, I mean, he's been past now 2 years, and you know, they're still doing like memorial events and things for him, like you know, around his birthday, or just recently they did one at the track where around near the anniversary of his passing, they formed up like a 4-wide salute with his friends and did 11 laps around the track because he was number 11.
Wow.
So,
which is how we ended up with number 11 on the race car.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, most drivers, when they come to drive for somebody, they have stipulations where they want some kind of money or something like that. The only thing I've ever asked them to do is I told them I didn't want my name on the roof. It was Evan's car, and his name belonged on the roof.
Okay.
And his name is on the roof.
Yeah.
Yep. Been there for 2 years now. And everybody, I get funny looks all the time because they the track officials will come through there looking at the lineup, and they see the number 11, which now they know who I am. But they would see the number 11 and they would think, all right, that's they look at the roof and they're looking for Evan Saban on the score sheet there, but they're not going to find it because the name they need to be looking for is Daniel Brown Jr.,
which is on the bottom of the door.
Yeah.
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 So it causes mass confusion when we go to like new tracks that don't know, who I am, which at this point now I'm wouldn't really say a seasoned veteran at Winchester, but I've been there long enough to know who I am now. And of course, Natural Bridge, our other home track, they know who I am from running down there before racing for Almost Home Motorsports.
Okay. So here's a question for both of you. Okay, being you drive for Will and Anne Marie and Dana, how is the camaraderie with the team? Do you guys joke around quite a bit? And
from what I've been told by Anne Marie and Will and them, as Evan got older, I'm a lot like Evan was. I'm the jokester, but when it comes time to be serious, I'm one of the most intense people there.
okay.
Dana's the one that normally keeps me in check, him or my dad. And, Dana, he goes with the flow. Anne Marie, she's the one that gets fired up when something happens. She's the first one that's going to say something if it's not me. And I love her. She's got that same intensity that you want out of a car owner that doesn't want their car getting tore up, their driver's car getting tore up. She's there to win races. But the camaraderie, it's there. We all have our moments where we get frustrated with one another. But I mean, once you become family with somebody, you're going to have them issues.
Yeah.
You can't spend as much time together as what we all do, and not get frustrated from time to time with each other. It happens.
Yeah. It happens.
And I'm the PR guy, so I'm the one who's constantly going around to trailers, shaking hands, or making connections with track officials and recording all the events and posting them on YouTube. Trying to recruit sponsors. That's my primary role. But because I didn't grow up in the dirt like these guys did, I grew up with like asphalt NASCAR. So my knowledge base is completely different than a 4-link rear suspension dirt late model. So I'm trying to learn everything I can, but also to run around the track and like make sure that we get everything documented and our sponsors are taken care of on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But because of
I'm not good at with the sponsors. I can't. You tell me on the spot, I can't remember a sponsor to save my life. And the problem is, my dad's one of our sponsors, and I even forgot to thank him in an interview the other week.
Yeah,
I need to. We need to probably get him a laminated sheet that he can just keep taped to his dashboard. So when he pulls into winner's circle, he can yank it out. But yeah. So because of my I guess you could call it naivete when it comes to how the car works, and I mean, like I'm hungry, I want to learn. But because I just don't know what I don't know, I'm the butt of a lot of jokes a lot of times. Like there's an element of sarcasm across the team that I'm on the butt end of quite a bit. But it's okay. I've got a decently thick skin, I guess. But I'm just happy to be a part of the team. And really, it's not about me anyway. It's about honoring the Lord with what we're doing and honoring Evan's memory and just trying to we're trying to do it the right way. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like
exactly.
We want to be competitive, fiercely competitive.
Oh yeah.
But not at sacrificing our integrity or, trying to do it in a dirty way. Daniel has the skills that he can pass you clean without having to rough you up. And there's a lot of other drivers out there who will remain nameless who don't practice that. They like to just drive it in hard and bounce off your door and go by you. And that's not how we want to win races. When we win, we want to win clean so that no one can come back on us and say, oh, well, that Christian team, look at what they did and how they got their victory. No, when we win, we're going to win. Yeah. And people are going to know that we did it the right way.
Oh, yes, definitely. So what is your 5-year and 10-year plan with the racing team and Daniel's racing career?
Wow. So I have different plans, I think, than Anne-Marie has. I would love to see this thing continue to go and grow and everything, but
Oh yeah.
the practical reality of it is it's a very expensive sport.
Oh
And
yes, it
so
is.
the level of sponsorship that we currently have, while we are very grateful for the sponsors we have, they're basically just covering operating costs.
Okay.
When it comes to equipment or things of that nature, that's pretty much coming, from us as the owners. And
Okay.
so, for us to be able to continue to advance forward in this team, we're probably going to need to recruit some extra help because before long we're going to need to buy a new engine. We're going to need to
wouldn't
get the transmission refreshing. We already have the money set aside to freshen the one that we have. We've got the money set aside right now to freshen the one that we have, but that's only going to get us 2 more seasons. And then after that, we're like, okay, then what?
Yeah.
So, and there's so much up in the air going on with the economy and inflation. I mean, when we started this, gas was $2 a gallon, now it's $5.
Yeah.
When you're hauling a race car back and forth to the track, that's the tow money doesn't cover it anymore.
No, it don't.
So
it don't.
someone's got to make up that difference. And I'm just trusting that the Lord is going to make up that difference however he sees fit. And if he chooses not to, that's okay too. We're not going to necessarily close down Almost Home Motorsports as as a ministry. We may step away from the racing element of it in a few years, but really it just depends on how it goes. And we're just holding it loosely and just letting the Lord be able to direct it however he wishes. But regardless, we still would want to go be a presence at the track, or maybe partner up with a touring company that tours around the region or the eastern seaboard, being ministers to the tracks that all up and down the East Coast.
Yeah. So Daniel, what is your 5-year and 10-year plan with racing?
Well, I've got my own car. It's a limited late model. If this falls through where money becomes an issue and we have to scale back from weekly racing like we're doing now, I'll just go back to what I was doing before and running my own personal car, a couple times a year when my kid's schedule and my schedule would allow it. So, I mean, I'll keep doing the same thing I've been doing for years, which is fly by the seat of my britches and just show up when I want to show up. And, Will and Anne-Marie hold me a little bit more accountable. I can't quite fly by the seat of my britches like I want, but, they let me make a decision Friday night and we flew by the seat of our britches to go run Natural Bridge. But, my 5-10-year plan, just, as long as Anne-Marie and Will and Dana, they want to keep this going. They've already told me that for as long as they got it going, they want me to be their driver, and I'll continue to drive for them. And if something happens where we've got to take a break for a year or two, then I'll still run. It just won't be on a weekly basis. It'll probably be 1 or 2 races a month, just in my own stuff when money will allow. Like Will said, everything's got more expensive. Last year we started the year off. We started the year off paying $180 a tire, and now this year we're paying $240 a tire.
Oof, it's
been a huge price increase. And of course, with Hoosier having their tire shortage, it's making it harder for us to get tires. Everybody's struggling with that. And, unfortunately, with the way the economy is right now, you're probably going to see more and more drivers quit showing up on a weekly basis, because they can't afford to. And, so my 5-10-year plan, I'm a race for as long as I can with Anne-Marie and Will and Dana. And when, that dries up, then I'll just run my own car every couple weeks.
Okay. So Will and Daniel, here's a question off the wall for you guys. Do you guys have nicknames for each other?
I'm almost scared to hear what
really.
my nickname is for me.
No, we don't. I mean, they all call me by the nickname that I was given a few years ago by a track announcer when I was in my late teens, early 20s, winning a whole lot. You know, Will likes to mess with me and call me Kid Sensation, which is what my nickname was back a few years ago when I ran full time. But now we really don't.
I was trying to put it on the car, and he wouldn't let me put it on the car.
Oh boy.
Well, I don't feel like I'm a kid no more. You know, I'm actually one of the older guys in the class now, and so I don't think it. You know,
The moniker
to me,
no
it's
longer
not really
fits.
fitting. Yeah. You know, so I
But
guess
every
I'll go
once in a
by the
while, I mean, I've heard his parents call him Bubba, so I might call him that once in a while. But normally I just call him Daniel.
Okay.
Yeah, Bubba. That's a family nickname. They couldn't figure out what to name me on the day I was born, so Dad called me Bubba, and I was in the hospital for 3 days before they actually gave me, you know, the name Daniel Brown Jr. named me after my dad because they argued over what to name me for 3 days. So
Yeah.
Bubba's always been a family nickname, and you know, a lot of people from the racetrack they'll call me like DBJ or Brownie or something like that. But you know, the family they always call me Bubba, and if I hear it, I'll turn around and answer. I don't pay attention to who says it. You know, I like the nickname. In all honesty, he could put Bubba on the race car and it wouldn't hurt my feelings.
All right, I'll remember that.
So Daniel and Will, when it comes to the paint scheme on the race car for the year, the last year to and this year, did you guys come together on a paint scheme or how did that work out?
Last year was when I got the opportunity to drive for them. They had already had the paint scheme picked out.
Okay.
Those were Evan's favorite colors that we ran last year, and I mean, I really liked last year's scheme. And this year we bought the new car and it already had a new black body and all on it. And Evan's last quarter midget was black and green. And I told him, well, why don't we run a throwback to Evan's last quarter midget and just get the decals done the exact same way? And, you know, they all agreed. And that's how we ended up with our scheme this year was a throwback to Evan's last quarter midget.
Yeah, we thought it was a great idea. And as a matter of fact, if anyone can see the car, well, if you go to the website, almosthomemotorsports.com, there's a whole picture gallery. You can see the car that Daniel's talking about. And there's one picture where Evan is holding a checkered flag after having won a race in that car with that color scheme. And that's the car that the throwback is mimicking. But that same image of him holding that checkered flag is actually on the roof of the car. Like we cut it out and put it on the roof of the car, like the whole roof.
Very cool.
Yeah. So this year's is definitely a great looking scheme. And, you know, we really do enjoy trying to tie, you know, the memory of Evan to what we're doing presently.
Okay. So, Daniel and Will, what do you guys have for sponsors on your race car?
Well, okay. So one of our biggest longtime supporters is Quality Title.
Okay.
They worked with Anne Marie when she was doing real estate as her primary income.
Okay.
Also, as a result of that relationship with Anne Marie doing real estate, came Benchmark Mortgage. They've supported us both years. Sugar Creek Snowy and Sweet is an ice cream shop that started out in downtown Strasburg here where we live.
Okay.
And they since have outgrown that space and they bought a new place in Woodstock, Virginia, but they've been supporting us both years. As a matter of fact, not only are they supporting our team, but the space that they used to lease in downtown Strasburg, they put in a good word with the owner, which is where me and Anne-Marie were able to help Sarah, Evan's sister, open her own barbershop in that same space where that ice cream shop used to be.
There you go. Very cool.
And she, Fade for Glory Barbershop, is also a sponsor of the race car. So Buell Electric has been supporting us both years, and that's a relationship that I developed in working in the production home building world when I started at Van Meter Homes. So I've known John Buell, the owner of the company, for 7 years now. Color World Painting and Drywall is owned in part by Bob Parton. I've also developed that relationship with him in doing the production home building thing. So in our association with the Hagerstown Quarter Midget Association, and one of Evan's mentees, I guess you could say. Like, he was mentoring a younger quarter midget driver by the name of Avery McMillan.
Okay.
And so Avery
And we still
McMillan's race team.
Avery.
Yep,
each
we support
weekend.
Avery's race team, and Avery McMillan Racing actually also supports our race team.
Okay.
And then Avery's grandfather, Jamie Mills, owns Licking Creek Paving and Excavation, or Paving and
Okay.
Hauling, and he's a sponsor.
Okay.
Of course, Daniel Brown Jr.'s dad, Danny Brown, owns Brown Excavating, and they are also a sponsor.
Okay.
Now, this year, well, it was actually April of last year, I started working for a company called House Buyers of America. They're headquartered out of Chantilly, Virginia, and they essentially they're a real estate investor that purchases homes and fixes them up.
Okay.
And so they are also our sponsor this year.
Okay.
And let's see.
JDS Racing Penske Shocks by James Stevens.
Yep.
He's our shock builder, but this year he's helping out a lot more and come on board with a lot more technical aspect and on helping us with the setups and making sure we got the car right week in and week out. Long-time friend of Dana and Anne Marie, and they like I said, he's been a huge help this year coming on board. He helped us a lot last year, but this year he's a lot more involved and at the track basically every weekend, because of course he builds the Penske shocks in this area for the modifieds, the pure stocks, the street stocks, the late models, the super late models, the crate late models. He's really come on board and helped a lot, this year, just like he did last year. And
Jim is a huge wealth of information, and he has experience on tracks all over the country, not just here at Winchester. He used to work for Turner Motorsports as his full-time job.
Okay.
He now since has moved over to just doing the JDS Racing Penske shocks as his full-time gig now.
Okay. Okay.
But he and Anne-Marie have known each other since Anne-Marie was like 8 years old or something silly like that. I mean, like he's been a friend of the family for a very, very long time. And knew Evan from the time he was born. So his contribution to the team is invaluable. It's immeasurable. Just the wealth of knowledge he brings, the notebook of how to set up the car depending on track conditions and what's going on, and it's just he can look at a track and just tell you go do this, this, and this to the car, and then he's spot on.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So also this year we have friends of Daniel Brown Jr. The branches have come on board this year.
And they're just a family that they supported Dad when he raced, and when I started racing, they became fans of me. And last year they followed us up to Winchester every weekend, and this year they decided to give us some money and help us out. And actually, they paid for the new seat belts and all the new safety equipment inside the cockpit of the race car.
Okay.
So got a couple more. So the Abigail Inn.
Okay.
Is a bed and breakfast in Lexington, Virginia. You can go to their website at abigailinn.com.
Okay.
Owned by Thierry Lemercier. Now, he and I actually went to college together, but he was 2 years ahead of me. So we both went to the Virginia Military Institute, and we had lost touch over 20 years. And I don't know, it was a couple of years ago, I just was trying to find a nice place to take my wife, and struck up a phone conversation with him. And we became fast friends ever since. We've taken Daniel and his girlfriend Brittany down there for a weekend. So Daniel can attest, it's a nice place. It was built, I don't know, in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Huge 3-level mansion house with a 15-seat dining room table. And he cooks you the best omelet you've ever eaten. And of course, we would be remiss if we did not mention Jones Auto Parts. So Jones Auto Parts is owned by Anne-Marie's brother and parents, and Anne-Marie's dad started Jones Auto Parts in 1969. And they help us with, acquiring parts and getting us what we need when we need them. And I think we have a guest, another guest on
I
the
see
show
this.
here.
We've got Daniel's manager on board. I see.
He's wanting to put his head in there. Hold on, I'm gonna pull the headphones out and let him say something to y'all. You realize this is going on the internet, buddy, for everybody on the internet to see, right? It's going on YouTube.
Yeah.
You want to say hi to him? I'll pull you say hi. Can y'all hear us?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Oh, hold on.
Just give him one of them. So
my headphones up. We're gonna disconnect from them real quick.
Kids are very important to our race team.
Oh yes.
Evans quarter midget racing, we were always around kids all the time, and and we have a soft spot in our heart for them.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, you want to see what face I'm making?
Yeah.
Hi.
The whole internet is going to see the face that you're making.
They can see the face that you're making. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to get the sound on here. There we go. Back up,
Hi, buddy.
Back up.
Hi.
This is my youngest son, Brantley. He's the clown like I am.
Hey, Brantley.
He wants to be the center of attention. Can you say hi to Josh and the rest of the racing world?
Hi.
Hi, Brantley.
Hi.
Act right.
Hi.
So what do you
Hi.
think of me back racing? You never got to see me when you was a baby, but now that I'm racing again, are you happy?
Yeah.
Am I any good at it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm doing the interview here in my car. Like I said, I don't have good service here. All right, look out. Get out the way so I can get back on.
2 more sponsors and then I'm done. So this year also a colleague of Anne-Marie's and mine at Compass West Realty is Katie and Clint Deskins. They're fantastic real estate agents. They're licensed in both Virginia and West Virginia.
Okay.
I think their website is thedeskinsgroup.com. And they came on board as a sponsor this year. And of course, Anne-Marie and myself formed the Beverlin team years ago when she was in real estate. And that is also a primary sponsor of the team.
So are you guys still looking for sponsors for the racing team?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're always looking for sponsors.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go like this for you guys then. If there's anybody out here watching this, going to be watching this racing show on YouTube with me and Will Beverlin and Daniel Brown Jr., and you want to help their racing team out, reach out to them and Almost Home Motorsports because they'd appreciate the sponsorship as they get further into their racing careers. So when you guys,
and above that, if I may, Josh, sponsorship is always welcome. Absolutely. But say there's people out there who don't have a business or don't want to sponsor, but they just want to help. They just want to, contribute to the team. If you go to almosthomemotorsports.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, you can actually donate right there. There's a link you can click on, takes you right to the PayPal, and you can donate anything from $5 to $500 or more.
wow.
Anything that anybody wants to contribute would always be welcomed and a big help. And if they want to help support the mission of our team, not only just to race, but to be a light at the track.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Whenever we go.
Yes. And also Will and Daniel. So when you guys are away from the track, what do you guys like to do for fun?
Well, I've got my hands full with 4 kids, each one of them playing either baseball or softball. So I coach my youngest in t-ball, and then I help out the other 3 kids teams when they need it. I also umpire for the little league around here. And in my free time, just typical old country boy. I like riding my 4-wheeler, going mudding. No, but stop. Hunting, fishing, spending time with the kids. I'm real family oriented, and like right now we're all standing out here in the rain with the pitching machine. I just got back in the car because the rain was starting to mess the phone up. Working with the kids out here with the hitting and all during a little rainstorm. I'm all about my kids and my family, and you know, I don't like to go out drinking and stuff like that. I just, you know, I like being home, being around my family.
Okay. And Will, what do you like to do when you're not at the racetrack?
So, well, okay, there's things I like to do, things that I wish I could do, right? Like I love playing basketball. I love doing mountain biking, but a couple years back, I actually fell and broke my elbow.
Ooh.
And ever since then, like my elbow is healed, but not really, and it doesn't quite work the same. So I used to way a long time ago, I used to be a avid runner. And so this past year, I picked it up again. I now am training for half marathons again.
Okay. Okay.
So I am now training for my 7th half marathon that I'll be
Wow.
running this August. So that's 13.1 miles, but that means that, you know, every Saturday morning, that's my long run day. I do my,
Wow.
you know, my interval training and things like that, and my sprints and things during the week because there's a shorter intervals. But then on Saturday, you'll find me running anywhere from 4 to 14 miles, depending on the training cycle.
Okay. Okay.
That, and I have to, go get parts for the race car and go wash
yeah.
the race car, and
Oh yeah.
of course, you know, we go to church on Sundays and we try to go
Oh,
to
yeah.
church on Wednesdays. But
Yeah.
so between church and then me working and then the race car and then the half marathon training, and then my kids live with their mom down in Fishersville, Virginia.
Okay.
I go visit them every other weekend.
Okay.
So between all of that, my schedule is pretty slam full.
Okay. So when you guys are at the racetrack, then it's time to grab something to eat. What do you guys like to eat at the track?
I don't eat on race days. I've got my nerves will get the best of me, and if I eat, I end up in the bathroom a lot more than I care to admit.
He's
so
not
I
kidding.
don't
Like
eat
I
on
try to
race
give him a
days.
bag
Will
of
and him,
potato chips. He won't even eat a bag of potato chips. Like he doesn't eat anything on race day.
Wow.
He waits till after the race and then we
not
go
until
out.
the races are over.
Okay.
Now for me, I eat whatever's available.
Yeah.
Barbecue sandwich, hot dog, hamburger, like, you know, nachos, like whatever.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Because I'm literally running from the pit to the grandstands to film it, back to the pit to show them the video. Because like, you know, like I'll tape the warm-ups and the hot laps and things like that. And I'll let Daniel watch the video so he can see what the car is doing.
Yeah.
And then he knows how to change his style or improve his entry or any of that kind of stuff. So I go back and forth. I mean, on a Saturday, I think my Fitbit says I cover like 16 to 17,000 steps.
Wow. Wow. So Daniel and Will, what? Okay. When it comes to working on the race car, what's kind of the worst thing that you guys have had to encounter with the race car the last couple of years?
How about the trip to Natural Bridge?
Year, that's what I was getting into. We had a bolt break on the power assist on the rack, and I just relaxed to the caution come out, and it turned me head on into the concrete wall.
Ooh.
Right at the flag stand.
Pretty much wide open.
Oof.
And so, you know, that one there, that was probably the most expensive one and the worst one we've encountered. You know, like Will said, I don't like to tear the equipment up because when you race for yourself, you know how expensive it can be.
Oh yeah.
And when you're trying to pay for it yourself. So, you know, I do the best I can to try not to wreck the car. But that's probably the worst one. That or I probably have to say this year, that big wreck on the front straightaway at our big race that I got caught up in and ended up ripping the muffler off the car, busting the tire and breaking a bird cage and a bunch of other stuff.
Wow.
That was at the Battle of the Bay race, and 42 cars had showed up to qualify for a 24 car field.
Okay.
And Daniel had qualified second fast out of 42 cars from all up and down the East Coast, from Delaware and Pennsylvania and New York and West Virginia and Maryland. And in doing that, he was able to, you know, start up front and was very competitive. We had a solid top 3 car. And then the 2 cars that were in front of him had been beating and banging on one another, and one got into the other and wrecked right in front of Daniel. And he turned the car, 90 degrees sideways to avoid the wreck, and then squirted out. And I'm like, yes, He got through. He got through. Oh, he cut a tire. So
Oh,
the body brace had broken off, and
wow.
when the wheel is tucked up under
Oh,
the
yeah.
fender or the quarter panel, it just sliced the tire. It was
Oh,
brand
wow.
new tire, man, brand new tire. And so we didn't have another tire in the pits, so he wasn't able to go back out. But
Wow. 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 So Will and Daniel, it's been my pleasure to sit and talk to you guys about the start of this racing team and how it all began for you guys and stuff like that. So is there something you guys do on race day to really keep Evan's memory alive?
Pray before every race, and thank the good Lord for allowing us to all come together and keep us all safe, and do our best to honor Evan. I mean, his memory is pretty well alive. There's pictures of him inside the numbers on the race car, and of course his name on the roof. We do everything we can to keep the situation, or keep him in our thoughts, and remember
at
why
the
we're out there
forefront
doing
of what we're doing, right?
Yeah. So Daniel, who is your racing hero? Who's your favorite race car driver?
My dad.
Your dad. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, dad started racing back in the 70s, and growing up, most kids, they want to be a race car driver or an excavator or something like that. I was fortunate enough, dad did both of them. The night I was born, dad was actually at the racetrack. That was the only race he won that year. But I gotta say dad, and probably a close second there is going to be Philip Morris, the 5-time NASCAR late model champion. He was dad's teammate when I was growing up. And dad, he just, like I said, dad's there every weekend. He's the one that keeps me pointed in the right direction. And if I start screwing up, he's the first one to let me know, hey, you're doing this wrong. You need to adjust yourself here and here.
Okay. So Will, do you have a favorite race car driver that you follow, or?
Jonathan
well,
Davenport.
So there's an interesting story about JD I could tell you in just a second. I mean, but remember I said growing up I was more asphalt and NASCAR. I really didn't have the thrill of the dirt until Anne-Marie took me to my first race and took me into the infield where I could stand right near the wall and I could feel these cars going by, just under 100 miles an hour sideways. And you could feel that rumble in your chest. And that's when I caught the bug. And I was like, oh, man, this is just awesome. And so she took me to the World of Outlaws Championship in 2016. And that was when Jonathan Davenport was driving the number 6 house car for Kevin Rumley. And so it was real wet and heavy. There was a huge rain delay. They worked really hard to get the track so they could even start. They didn't even start warm-ups till like almost 8 o'clock at night because it had rained all afternoon. So the track was super wet and heavy. And it was like single file, single track racing. They had developed not a cushion. It was almost a berm. I mean, it was like 2 feet tall of dirt, like in the middle of the corner. And so it was just follow leader, follow leader, follow leader. Well, all of a sudden, this number 6 house car, Longhorn chassis car, jumped up above the cushion and passed 5 cars in one corner. And I'm like, that's my guy right there. And lo and behold, it was Jonathan Davenport, the Superman. And I went straight to his trailer and met Pop, his dad, who sells all of his merch, and bought a hat. Okay. And ever since then, I've been a Jonathan Davenport fan until Kyle Larson comes on the scene out of nowhere. Ironically, also driving the number 6 house car for Kevin Rumley. And I was at Port Royal when it was his second ever late model race. It was last year, or it was 2020. It was in 2020 when he had been suspended from NASCAR.
Yeah.
And so he was there in the house car, and it's the second or third late model event he'd ever been in, and he led every single lap at Port Royal and won. I went straight to his trailer, and his wife Caitlin was there selling shirts, and I bought a Kyle Larson shirt.
Okay.
So So it's between JD and Kyle. And so when they're both on the track, I don't know who to cheer for, but
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite driver, pavement wise, would have to be the late Dan Weldon. Weldon knew how to get it done at Indy. I was mesmerized by how he was able to win the last Indy 500 he competed in by just being at the right place at the right time. And I'm like, man, this is pretty spectacular. And then how he come across with the fans and being all about the fans and stuff like that. And I was like, man, that's my IndyCar driver right there. Who I'm going to gravitate towards. Dirt car wise, I like a lot of dirt drivers. But I'll tell you what, you guys are one of my favorite teams to deal with. Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Yes,
Daniel,
yes.
look, you got a fan.
Yes.
I got a couple.
Oh, yes. But definitely. So when I see Daniel must like Dr. Pepper.
I think the whole team
Yeah.
likes Dr. Pepper,
Okay. Yeah.
especially Evan's sister. She is, I could borderline say she's addicted to Dr. Pepper. Evan also loved Dr. Pepper.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, I want to
I
thank
don't
you
know
guys.
if y'all can see me or not. Y'all done froze up on my end, so I apologize for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I can
can't
see you just
nothing,
fine.
so I don't know if y'all can see me or not.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see you. I
Okay.
can see you just fine. So definitely, guys, like I said, thank you for being on the racing show with me tonight, talking to us about your guys' racing team and racing career. Do you guys have anything big on your calendar coming up as far as racing events that you're going to compete at?
Well,
You froze up, Daniel. I don't think there's really anything too big. We're running the Rush Crate Dirt Late Model Series at the Winchester Speedway, and so we are racing for points this year. We want to win a championship, so that's where most of our focus is. So you definitely will be able to find us if the crates are on the schedule at Winchester. 9 times out of 10, we're going to be there.
Okay. So being Memorial Weekend's rolling around, here's a question for you guys, and this is just kind of off the wall question for you. Who's your guys' pick to win the Indy 500?
Oh gosh.
oh man, that's a tough one. I don't know. The Indy, it's always such a wild race there, and they always seem to have a late caution that completely changes the outcome of the race. I'd like to say I'd like to see Jimmy Johnson win it, but I'm not saying
Yeah.
he can't. But that's who I'm going to pull for is Jimmy Johnson.
Well, I mean, he's my own namesake, and with a name like Willpower, I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I mean, years ago when I first saw his name, I was like, that is the coolest name ever. How are you named Willpower? Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, so I think the Aussie's going to get it done.
Okay. So definitely, like I said, it's my pleasure to have you guys on talking about Evan's memory, talking about his racing career a little bit, and about how this racing team came about. And it's pretty cool that you guys are doing this in his memory. I give you really big props for this. It's pretty big deal. So definitely, down the line, I would love to sit down and talk to you, Will, about maybe possibly working out a sponsorship deal with you guys, sponsoring your racing team a little bit.
Oh, wow. That'd be fantastic. Absolutely. And I just want to make sure that everyone watching this understands that while, yes, this team has banded together and overcome a lot of adversity to be on the track, that it is not about us. Like, the whole reason that we're doing this is to be focused on the people of the track and our competitors as well, our competition and our competitors, as well as the spectators, as well as the crew members. Like, we are there to really serve other people. We have a heart for other people. This past the couple months ago, there was an unfortunate accident at Winchester Speedway where Jimmy Billmeyer had lost his life. And so I approached the racetrack immediately and I said, look, if anybody needs prayer, if anybody needs to talk, if anybody needs guidance or whatever, give them my phone number. Like I want to be there for anybody I'm able to be there for. Because it's not about me. It's not about, us, quote unquote, as Almost Home Motorsports. We're here for a greater purpose and a greater mission. And that mission, I think, us winning races and winning championships will yield to the credibility of that mission. But ultimately, we're here for the Lord, and we're here to honor Evan's memory. And we want to maintain that focus. We want to make sure that we don't get too big for our britches, and that, we take every day as the blessing that it is, and just be faithful with what we have in front of us each day. And we think that if we are consistent in that mission, that the Lord will honor it, the Lord will bless it as he sees fit. And regardless of if we race 1 more or 10 more years, we think that that we can make a tremendous impact on those we interact with in a positive way.
Oh yeah. And I know Evan was really big friends with Braden Plunkett. Braden, amazing kid. And yes, a very, very amazing kid. I have never had the opportunity to interview Avery McMillan. I would love to somewhere down the line, get him on the show. It would be my pleasure.
I can get you connected with him.
Okay. And I'll tell you what, Will and Daniel, there is a driver. I'm going to have you guys. I don't know if he races anymore. I'll have you get you the contact information for him and see if he's still out there racing or whatnot. He's from around the Sioux Falls, South Dakota area. And he had one of the coolest designs I had ever seen on his merchandise, on his shirts and his coats. And he had TIGA on the back of his coat. And I thought to myself, I wonder what that means. Well, a friend of mine and I was looking to sit next to, knew him really well. And it was really kind of cool. We struck up the conversation. I said, so what does that mean? He says, well, it goes like this: trust in God always.
There you go.
Yes.
Even when it doesn't make sense, and even when you can't see the other side.
Yep, exactly. And this guy here, his name is Isaac Shures. And this guy, if you were to go to a dirt track and he was still racing you two, you guys would be just mesmerized, because this guy was injured in a motocross accident, and he was paralyzed from the waist down, and he's out there racing a 360 and 410 sprint car with hand
controls, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Doing 100 to 160 miles an hour around a dirt track with hand controls. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty spectacular there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So do you guys have anything out there you want to say to the kids to help get them in a race car?
Oh gosh. If you want to, it's not something to do lightly. Okay. If you want to do racing, it is super fun. It's a lot of hard work. So don't be afraid of it. But if you can get your parents on board to help you get into a quarter midget or a champ cart or something like that to get started, you'll catch the bug. And once you start, especially if you start winning races, then you're going to be like, man, I want to keep doing that. But if it's something that you have an interest in, go for it full force. Don't hold back. It's not really something you want to kind of dip your toe into, because it's a pretty expensive hobby just to do for 1 year. And there's a huge learning curve. I mean, you're not going to be a champion typically your first year out. I mean, there's a huge learning curve, learning how to handle the cars, and like what Daniel said, be patient with yourself. Being a champion takes time and hard work and dedication. So don't be afraid of the hard work and the dedication, and go for it.
Okay. How about you, Daniel?
Well, I mean, if you're going to get into it, it's good to get into it young. It's a lot easier to learn, to jump from car to car to car to car, as a young man than it is for somebody that, is a little bit older. If you're going to do it, like Will said, you got to go into it full force. It's hard to justify spending that much money to just go out and run, a couple races and decide you don't want to do it, because by the time, that comes around and you go to sell it, you're not going to get your money back out of it. But like, we'll pretty much summarize it pretty well there. If you're going to do it, just do it. You got to learn. You got to have some patience when you get into it. But the biggest thing is don't be scared.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to ask for help, because
but
it's a great community, and people around you will help you. They'll help you learn how to set up. They'll help you with spare parts if you bend a rod and you need to get back on the track. I mean, it is a community that builds the strongest bonds that I've witnessed personally.
Okay. So I got one last question for you guys out there. And this is just kind of switching the questions up a little bit. And I kind of asked this to a lot of the kids lately and some of the adults. So when it comes to your guys' favorite home cooked meal, what is your favorite home cooked meal?
mine is one of my own personal cows that we slaughter up and turn into steaks.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Will?
Well, I wanted to hear what he was going to finish off that meal with.
Go ahead.
What else
Daniel.
are you going to have besides steaks, Daniel?
Oh, you got to have the asparagus. You got to have the green beans, the mashed potatoes, and the macaroni and cheese.
Oh boy, that's what you call a really good meal there. How about you, Will?
Well, I love to grill. I'm all about getting those cross hatch marks on the meat. That makes it look like it's from a TV commercial.
Yeah.
But my wife's a pretty good cook, so pretty much anything she makes is pretty awesome. I have to say though that there's nothing quite as comforting as coming home on like a cold, rainy day, and then my wife has a huge pot of chili on. She makes fantastic chili, and she actually also makes it with rice. So you put this scoop of rice in the bottom of the bowl, and then the chili on top with the cheddar cheese. Perfect.
I'll tell you what, those are some pretty good choices, guys. Some very good choices. So last question for you guys. At the midpoint of your guys' racing season, I would like to have both you back on here again to kind of give us an update on how your season's going, if we could work something out.
I'm sure we could figure something out.
Oh, I'm all for it. I ain't the interview person. I'm a man of a few words. When I get stuck in front of a camera, I get a little camera shy. But yeah, I'm all for it. You want to do it? Let's do it.
Okay, definitely. So I want to thank you, Will, and you, Daniel Brown Jr., for being on the racing show with me tonight, talking to us about Almost Home Motorsports, where it began, and Daniel's racing career also. So I would like to thank all of you guys for being a part of this with me, and car number 11, and everybody that's associated with that racing team, and all your sponsors, anybody that helps out with that racing team. I'm going to have you guys step out. I'm going to give a little racing news update, and I will call you guys a little bit to thank you in person. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Josh. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Talk soon.
See ya.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Almost Home Motorsports, and car number 11, late model out of Virginia, Daniel Brown Jr. and Will Beverlin and Anne Marie Beverlin and Dana Sabine run that team. So definitely keeping a watch out for that team, because they are a really awesome team, very, very awesome team. Also, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to roll into Indianapolis 500 weekend. It's going to be pretty spectacular to see who's going to end up winning this Indy 500 this weekend. I have some really good choices on who's going to win. I would love to see. I got 4 picks here for the Indy 500. 1, I would love to see Jimmy Johnson win it. That would be awesome. Been a Jimmy Johnson fan for quite a while. 2, I would love to see TK Tony Kanaan pick up another win at Indy. That would be pretty cool there too. 3rd, if those 2 couldn't do it, I would love to see Will Power do it, pick up another Indianapolis 500 win. And then if all else fails, and I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, I look for Scott Dixon to be a force to be reckoned with, because Scott's got the pole at a really record speed this year. So good luck to all 4 of them drivers and everybody competing in the Indianapolis 500 this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. And then also want to wish congratulations go out to Ryan Blaney for picking up the NASCAR All-Star race win last weekend. Also, I have some birthdays to throw out there today. Happy birthday goes out to Greg Nolan, and happy birthday goes out to Mike Latimus. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you have a good night. catch you later on another episode of the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube. If you want to sponsor my racing show, you can email me at jjnolan151.com and then you can also text or call me at 712-209-7138. And to find out more information about Almost Home Motorsports, go to almosthomemotorsports.com. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you have a good night and catch you later.